Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. Why did that one kid get expelled? He kicked my friend in the ass so hard it broke his tailbone. He literally broke my friend's ass. A friend of a friend broke his finger after sticking it on another dude's ass. Not related, but wanted to say it anyway. Running through the cafeteria at lunch, naked with a backpack on that he set on fire. Legendary. Didn't get expelled, but my friend did something similar. Tried to do the magic trick with the hand sanitizer and the lighter to make a small fireball. He was not fast enough and also used too much hand sanitizer, lit both hands on fire, ran across courtyard and dived into fountain to put out fire witnessed by entire school and faculty uninjured only. Suspended for having a lighter and cig. The final straw was when he lit a cigarette in French class and refused to put it out. Smoked it all. He was 13. I see him every now and again, and he's a just method acting to know French better. He sprayed another student with Zippo fluid and was attempting to set the student on fire when he was tackled. I had a friend at my private school who basically got asked to take a year off, spent that year at a private military school, shaping up. Told us later that one thing that helped him do that was learning that what he had done to get there was nothing compared to what some of his classmates did. One kid had, at a boarding school, locked another kid in his dorm room with tons of paper, then lit the paper on fire as a joke. For lifting up his shorts and exposing his balls through the leg hole to the principal, while said principal was escorting potential investors for the school. Okay, that's so funny but understandable why he was expelled. Balls. Decades ago, I had a kid who mooned the entire class. Just dropped his drawers and bent over. Assistant principal laughed about it and sent him back. Planned a food fight that turned into a riot with property damage and then fled from the police. At a high school near me 20 years ago, the senior class decided to have a food fight at lunch on the last day of classes one year. Turned into a riot with the school locked down for the whole afternoon, kids frantic on cell phones, even then, with their parents because they had no clue why this was happening, and the state police and about 20 other local law enforcement agencies deployed to the school. The school expelled 12 of the graduating seniors, very difficult to do for a public school, but not impossible, and barred about the same amount of others from taking part in graduation. I think this was my high school in K. The vice principal got hit in the head with an apple while trying to break up the riot. The worst part is that I missed the whole thing because I was at the dentist. Russian exchange student in high school. Chased a squirrel, caught it bit him, so he swung it by the tail against a tree. He was expelled for having a detailed map of the school with locations where he wanted to place bombs and a list of students he wanted to kill and how he was going to do it. Well, that escalated quickly. Kindergartner, long list of threatening behaviors, foster kid with every kind of past abuse. Told me he was going to shoot himself, and then come shoot himself, and then come shoot me. I refrained from pointing out his lapse in logistics. That situation is awful for everyone. Anyone who abuses kids should be locked away forever. This breaks my heart. He was set up for failure by his abusers. Fuck them. He kept getting caught having sex in the gymnastic room. They literally had cameras in the room, and he kept bringing girls there between classes. Got caught like 5 times before he got expelled. If I were a girl at that school, I would simply not have sex with a guy who had already been caught and filmed 4 times in the exact same place he had been caught before. Playing kickball in gym class, kid kicked his shoe off and his bag of weed came flying out right to the teacher's feet. I was in the theater department back in high school. One day at the beginning of our acting class, the teacher came in and told us all to sit down. This one kid sat in the middle of the front row, and as he took his seat, his glass weed pipe fell out of his pocket and clattered to the floor. Everyone is silent for a moment. Then the teacher just goes, "All right, I'm gonna go out in the hallway for 30 seconds, and I'm gonna come back in, and we'll try this again." Walked out, walked back in 30 seconds later, like he said, saw that the pipe was no longer in evidence, and class proceeded like normal, or as close to normal as theater classes ever get. Look man, if you started kicking kids out for smoking weed, there wouldn't be a theater department left. My theater director set 4 of my classmates up to be expelled from school during the last few months of their senior years, because they showed up to act in the spring musical High, and were honest when she asked about it after the fact. They ended up only getting secondary school, but it was still a huge betrayal. I was part of the group but said I had no idea what they were talking about when confronted, was excused while they chatted with her so openly and explained why they smoked and just gave way too much away to an adult they trusted. The next day, all of them were facing expulsion because of this recording where they admitted to smoking weed off campus, after hours, and then performing their roles flawlessly. The next year, medicinal weed was legalized in my home state. One of the people in question works in a dispensary. Lol. That was my junior year, and truly theater was the only thing tethering me to still give a shit about school. But this broke my trust in even that space being safe. Kind of a bummer in retrospect. The real G. It's easier to stray away from weed and grow out of that phase than having an expulsion record that could literally affect your academic record and potentially your whole life. If only he had made it to a base and got declared safe. Walked out of English class to talk to another kid in the hall. The teacher was real lax, so she didn't care. He walked out to talk to this guy. Fight breaks out in the hall. Teacher runs out. Other teachers come help break up the fight. One teacher asks the kid that walked out class why they were fighting, and he said he stole my weed. Kid who left class was selling, and the kid in the hall tried to walk off without paying. Any other B's excuse would have just got him suspended. Happened in kindergarten. There was a kid named Dexter who had severe anger issues. Every day, a small group of kids would get certain jobs to do around the classroom, such as line leader, table cleaner, etc. Dexter got the table cleaner position, and he was absolutely livid since he wanted to be line leader. What started off as a screaming fit escalated into him throwing scissors around the class, biting the teacher's hand, shattering a window with his flying scissors, breaking the tank that housed the class gerbils, and just trashing the entire classroom. The rest of the students had to evacuate the class while the teacher and principal attempted to restrain him. Security had to get involved. Never saw him again after that day. April, that's my name, and I was a little brat in kindergarten, lol. At least that story wasn't about me because we didn't have gerbils at my school. I read the first 2 sentences and thought, oh shit. He stabbed another kid with a letter opener he made in shop class. We didn't make letter openers in shop class after that. Edith, this was in junior high in the mid-90s. You're reminded me of the time a different kid got expelled for writing fanfic about kidnapping and torturing the cheerleading team. Was stabbed with a sharpened pencil. Stick. Still not quite sure to this day, once by a fellow student. Right in my side. All he got was 3 months suspension. I got stabbed in the back with a pen, and all he got was a boys will be boys from the principal. Thought he was funny and decided to grab the throw. Student resource officers. Gun. Our throw also happened to be part of SWAT.
He did this as we all left end of day, crowded hall.
I remember this vividly over 20 years later. This was also post-Columbine by like a month. Kid got slammed into a wall, put in cuffs. Arrested and expelled immediately. How he thought that was funny is beyond me. Thinking back to some of my friends during my teenage years, I 100% could see one of them being dumb enough to do this. Kids that age love pushing every boundary but lack so much understanding about consequences. My friend from theater in high school killed himself in the parking lot with a shotgun on the last night of the school play. I was a lead in it. Whole auditorium was locked down after the final curtain call. He used to drive me home after practice all the time. This was a few months after Columbine in Colorado. It was awful. She was quite a bit younger than I am, but a young lady did the same in a high school parking lot. She was her mom's only kid. Her poor mom is a shell of a human now. So sad. I absolutely can't imagine losing my only child, let alone in such a tragic way. Sad anywhere you go. He made a bomb threat online. Most of the school skipped out the day he did because they didn't want to blow up. I was one of the poor souls with no social media, so I came into school not knowing there was a frickin' bomb threat. I also had a mom who was unfazed and just told me, you'll be fine. Go to class, when I called her. I didn't learn until the next day that he had been apprehended and expelled. What scared me was I knew him for years, and he never seemed like the kind of person to go that far. He was a class clown, but I never thought he would take that as even a joke. Apparently he did have a bomb, but it thankfully never made it to the school grounds. Edit, spelling also, wow, I didn't imagine this would blow up like this. Thank you for the likes. However, I would like to say that while my mom made a mistake, that doesn't make her a bad parent. We have a really good relationship and I love her. She regrets the fact that she left me scared with little to no information, but she knew I would be fine. It was me who didn't know at the time. I cannot even imagine telling my kid to not worry about a fucking bomb threat and to just stroll right on into the building. What the heck? Apparently, what she didn't tell me is that she got a phone call about it and telling the parents to not worry. So she did, and that's what she told me, leaving out that the school had said that the staff and school themselves paid no mind to it. I just stewed in it all day, just waiting for the building to blow up and thinking about everything I never got to do. The good news is that the place didn't blow up and I'm still alive. Also, don't worry. To this day, I haven't let my mother live down the fact that she let me, her scared, shitless daughter, stay in a building I was convinced would just explode. Downloading porn on the school computers was the last straw. He even used his own login. Edit. That was more attention than I expected. Thank you everyone who wished me a happy cake day. Who knew I'd spend it talking about porn? Couldn't have waited till he got home, huh? When the erection hits, you just go with it. Guy grew up doing Muay Thai, boxing and wrestling, forgot where he was during a wrestling match and threw a spinning back fist that knocked his opponent clean out. He was completely mortified once he realized what he did. Straight A student, star athlete, and genuinely good guy. The class president even addressed it and organized protests and walkouts until he was reinstated. Even the guy that got knocked out and his parents forgave him and supported us. He did get reinstated, but wasn't allowed to wrestle or box anymore. Not sure what the coaches pulled to allow him to play football. He eventually quit football too his senior year and was never really the same. Fuck man, that's actually tragic. Yeah, it happened so fast. Like he just got confused or something. He was so grief-stricken that he just started praying in the middle of the mat until the EMT arrived. Peeing on a teacher who wouldn't let him go to the bathroom. A girl changed her tampon in the corner of the classroom to prove a point. She was suspended pending expulsion, but her dad was a lawyer. A week later, any girl who wanted to use the bathroom was allowed, no questions asked. Fast forward 2 months and guys were getting pissed that we couldn't use bathrooms either. So one guy got denied a bathroom 3 times in the 90-minute class. He walked up and peed in the trash can. He was expelled. I guess he missed the part where you need lawyer parents. I feel like that's still a violation of his rights. You can't stop kids from needing to pee. My senior year, there was this kid that asked to use the bathroom. The teacher told him no, and he responded, "I'm going to the bathroom." I just asked as a courtesy and left to go to the bathroom. Nothing happened to him. That was the moment that radicalized me, lol. I wish I had my adult understanding of priorities when I was in K-12. Like realizing what things actually mattered and who was actually important, freely going to the bathroom would have been amazing. I did, and it just got me into trouble. I was labeled defiant because when I was told I couldn't do something, I'd ask why. Frankly, if teachers treated my kids the way I was treated, I'd be furious. If you're going to punish someone and they ask what exactly they're being punished for, your inability to provide a proper answer doesn't make them troublesome. Fucking power move, thought. I had a friend who got peed on in preschool. Later in 5th grade, he fought the kid who peed on him, won, and then peed on him in revenge. Survival of the pissist. That seems like a fair response to not being allowed to pee. Tackled and restrained by coaches after he grabbed a bat from the storage room with the intention of beating his pregnant math teacher with it. Holy shit, this post is filled with insane kids. Well, they're expelled. Flopped his dick on another dude's shoulder in his room at study hall. Boarding school is weird. That was the thing at my school. If you got a dick placed on your shoulder, you were gay until you put your dick on someone else's shoulder. Put a picture of his penis in the yearbook that led to an investigation that ultimately landed him and 3 buddies in jail. Did it actually go to print and distribution before they caught it? Something similar happened at one of our local high schools. This wasn't at my school, and I never got the full details from my teacher, but from what I remember, I think one of the seniors flashed his bits in one of the athletic team photos. While I get that it's something that needs to be taken seriously, it's also kind of funny considering how poor quality yearbook photos were 30 years ago. I don't remember how they resolved it, but I remember it was a major fiasco. Yep, it got printed and distributed. Then they made us turn them all back in and cut that page out, added a supplement and returned them. This was a small-ish picture taken after a dance. The quote from the teacher was, "I thought it was his thumb," which did not reflect well on the kid in question. This was also like 25 years ago, so yay grainy as all get out. He brought a gun to school and posted it on Snapchat. Instantly got caught and expelled. Stupidest thing anyone has ever done, but also a blessing in disguise. A few years ago, a kid at the high school I graduated from posted a Snapchat video putting a gun in his backpack with a caption, "Tomorrow, everyone will pay." A bunch of kids told on him and the police came to his house that night. Oh, and it was a B gun. My kid's school, kid posted on Instagram and Snapchat the threats with pictures of the gun. Tried to get all the kids in trouble for not going to school instead of getting the kid who made threats. Didn't go well for the school. Kid who made threats never returned, but we were never told if it was voluntary or not. He did get help though. They tried to tell us it's okay the kid has a troubled home life. That's how all this starts. At my high school, a kid took a Snapchat of a gun and sent it to his friends in a group chat. One of them screenshotted it and added the caption, "Don't come to school tomorrow," and it spread like wildfire. Poor guy didn't even do anything wrong. It was a hunting rifle. Half our school didn't show up, and he ended up having to transfer to another school for a year because of all the hate he got for it. Don't think his friend even got punished for it. Stabbed a kid for mocking his dead sister. My buddy has an assault charge for similar. Punched a guy out at the bar for shit-talking his dead sibling. Even the judge told him it was understandable but still not okay, edit, just to add freshly dead sibling. "Hey, how's your sister? Why don't you ask her?" She had just been killed in a drunk driving accident a few days earlier. Must be a bit harder losing your twin. I've beaten the shit out of people for making fun of my brother before. My brother is special needs and had one person kick his feet out from under him as he was walking home with me from school. I've never hit a child before and I've never hit a child since, but I broke my knuckle on his face. I can't blame him. I'd most definitely do the same. It would be hard not to stab someone that's absolutely asking for it. Middle school. He was really into Assassin's Creed, video game, and main character is an assassin. He also seemed like a slightly depressed kid. I became friends with him during his last 2-3 weeks. He told me he wanted to make a cool stabby blade thing that shoots out of his sleeve like in the video game. I told him that would be cool, but I was never dumb enough to do it myself. He actually made it and brought it to school. We spent a couple of days of recess and lunch running around and I watched him terrorize some of the kids, including myself. I never thought he'd harm anyone though. Someone must have told on him. School supervisor guy came in, asked for him and his backpack, and he never came back. I think I saw him a few years later, and he thought I was the one that told on him. I tried to deny it, but didn't want to risk getting into an argument. My teacher found this drawing I made, and when she asked what it was, I told her it was for a gasoline gun. I mean, I couldn't really lie because it said gasoline gun right on it, but she just said, "Ah, interesting," and handed it back to me. Honestly, if I ever did make one, I probably would have blown myself up. I can't imagine doing that in school today. A wild imagination could get you kicked out or worse. Back in 2014, a fiend classmate on the same sports team almost got expelled for doodling after a test in senior gov. He drew Sarge from Red V's Blue with the words "shotgun" to the face. You just got sarged. The teacher of the class saw it. The teacher of the class saw it and thought he was somehow threatening to kill her. Some reason he chose me to back him up, and I got called down to the office. Got there, and he's there with his mom, while she's yelling at the principal who asked me to hide what they were looking at. We then proceeded to watch an episode of Revi in the school principal's office. It was weird. Some reason he chose me to back him up, because it turned out to be the best and most correct decision. I got expelled for a fight. Had to get a lawyer to get back into school. 30 people got suspended for a food fight. Had a friend get expelled for a fight with a star quarterback. He never went back to school. Rough year. Him and his cousin beat up the deputy principal and tried to kill him with a spade. At school, no charges ended up being laid. Later went on to kill a tourist during the 2000 New Year's and dump his body in a harbor. Edit. Brothers, not cousins. Memory is a little hazy after 23 years. I personally didn't know them, but knew enough to stay the fuck away from them. They were known for being trouble kids. Our art teacher stopped the attack. He's a hero. Well done, sleuths, for finding the articles. Oh my gosh, that is wild. He just kept shitting his pants. There was nothing wrong with him. He just kept doing it. Same place, same time, every day. Right after recess, when we lined up to go inside, he just let loose. The fattest and wettest fart shit you'd ever heard, and it would echo through the silent hallway for literally everyone in the grade to hear. At first we thought it was just embarrassing for him, but by the time week 2 came around, we were all convinced he was doing it intentionally. I have no explanation because he was kicked out after like 3 months of consistently doing it. Edit. I nearly forgot. He would announce to everyone he shit himself too by saying, and I quote, "Whoops. I pooped myself." So one of my mom's friends had a son that did this. He would decide he wanted to leave and shit his pants, so his mom would come get him. His mom was so sweet and naive, she just picked him up over and over again without realizing he was playing her. She thought he was having stomach issues and the teacher wouldn't let him go to the bathroom. Finally, she was at her wit's end because she was tired of washing shit-stained clothes and missing so much work. My mom, a mother of 4 who could smell bullshit within a 10-mile radius, told her the next time he did it to bring him a change of clothes and send him back to class. She took my mom's advice, and he never did it again. That's some Cartman level of no dignity. Most people are embarrassed to fart around others. Meanwhile, this kid was just shitting his britches daily. The hell you mean there was nothing wrong with him, Leo? Class clown. Chemistry class. Dude caused another student's experiment to react violently and blinded her. Half a dozen students saw him do it and heard him say he didn't like her because she was smart. He was in prison 4 years later, dead 6 years after that. He started a fire in some backpacks. This was in elementary school, like 91, 92-ish, and we were in like 2nd grade. After that, no one was allowed to go into the hall unattended. Backpacks were in a weird corridor in the hallway outside the Potter classroom. Another one was the only male cheerleader beat someone to a pulp for making fun of him being a cheerleader. The fight was huge, interrupted all the classes, and hundreds of students watched this cheerleader in uniform just pummel this other guy. They ended up outside the school in the middle of the street. Several teachers had to step in and stop the fight. I believe the cheerleader would have killed the kid if someone didn't intervene. Male cheerleaders have that skinny strong. You really shouldn't fuck with them. Not only that, but this guy was a wrestler, I believe, too. He was mainly roped into cheer BEs. His Jeff was in, and they needed males to be able to pull off more difficult parts of routine. He was known to be a hothead jock type and had other violent encounters throughout his BC. He was a great athlete. A lot of things got overlooked. Until this incident. Giving a BJ in the staircase with glass walls facing the cafeteria windows. And I'm assuming the recipient was not expelled. I'm only assuming the giver was female. Bingo, bingo. That's fucked up. Yeah, honestly, the more I think about it, I actually have no idea who the guy was, just the girl. For all I know, he might have been expelled too, but no one talked about him. Just the girl, very fit. But man, will the memory of everyone around me, booking it toward the window one day during lunch, be ingrained in my brain forever. This is one of my favorite stories. Setting, high school in a rural area many years ago. We were seniors. I'm in welding class one day, and I overhear a couple kids talking at one of the welding stations. Booths with concrete on 3 sides, open top and a curtain behind you. I hear them talking about welding an object to the metal welding table. Of course, I'm curious, so I peek around the corner and see they are both looking at a spray bottle of pressurized Axe body spray. I immediately realize this will go poorly, being a pressurized and flammable substance. So I butt in and say, that's a bad idea. Both these idiots cut me off and tell me to F off. I played football against them and their rival high school, and we never got along super well. So I said, whatever F you guys do, and walked across the room where I could see the teacher and their booth and made myself look busy while watching these clowns. Sure enough, I didn't think they'd actually do it. I see the curtain shut, spark, spark, and boom. Flames shot out the top about 10 feet, and this idiot comes busting out of the booth like a character in a cartoon hair, back up and singed soot all over his face, and a big look of shock on his face. Teacher was red-faced and yelled at this moron for a solid 5 minutes and stormed out with both these guys. Last I heard, they were expelled from that school. I will never forget that smell. Axe and burnt hair. I've read through most of this thread, and yours is definitely the closest to a sitcom plot. The dude smoked a joint in the school's pool area, claiming the chlorine would mask the scent of the weed. He was caught within 5 minutes of sparking it. Lol, idiot. He looked at porn on a school computer. For spraying the fire extinguisher in the principal's face after he called him short. Your Honor, that's really funny.